Good evening. Happy Friday. We are on the fourth pada. The fourth pada is, I believe, emancipation. The final pada, the culmination of the sutras. Let's begin. Higher functioning skills and talents are attained through birth, herbs, mantras, self-discipline, or samadhi. (4.2) The flow of universal energy brings about transformation. These transformations evolve you and push you forward into your next birth. Welcome. Thanks for joining. 4.3 The flow of energy in the multiverse removes obstacles to evolution, like how a farmer removes dirt, blocking the irrigation system, allowing the water to nourish the land. Hi, Sylvie. Thanks for joining. 4.4 From the sense of individuality springs the created or fabricated mind. The second translation for 4.4 is, different mentalities are formed from self-centeredness. 4.5 Consciousness is one, but it branches into innumerable different types of activities and countless thought waves. Second translation: mentality is the causal factor of the varying types of actions performed by different entities. Interesting translation. 4.6 Only the mental state shaped by meditation leaves no impressions or influences. 4.7 Actions performed by yogis are neither white or black, but actions performed by others are of three types: white, black, or gray. 4.8 Good, bad, and mixed actions create subconscious impressions, habits, and desires that manifest when conditions are favorable. Welcome. Thank you for joining the study. Even though it is divided by incarnation, place, and time, life is a continuous process. The uninterrupted close relationship between, hey, what's up, Dabbler? Memory and subliminal impressions causes the effects of actions to remain intact from one life to the next, as if there was no separation between births. This is the second translation for 4.9. Although desires are separated from their fulfillments by incarnation, space, and time, they have an uninterrupted relationship because the impressions of desires and the memories of them are identical. 4.10 Since the desire to live is eternal, these impressions, memories, and desires are beginningless. 4.11 Impressions and desires are bound together depending on cause and effect. When cause and effect cease to exist, impressions and desires cease to function. Interesting. The whole idea of understanding that if you want to get rid of the effect, you have to get rid of the cause. So you're not remedying the affliction as it appears, you're remedying the cause of the affliction. 4.12 The past and the future exist and are really a continuation of the same moment, but they appear different due to different conditions present. 4.13 The past, present, and future intermingle rhythmically and interweave within the 11 dimensions. They change the composition of physical properties into gross and subtle. 4.14 The laws that govern the transformations taking place as time changes from the future to the past to the present cause modifications in objects, but their energy is never lost and the reality around you remains constant. So this is, I think, the third time that they talk about this in the text. And what the other two sutras say, even though the phenomena change, that the background essence stays the same, or the consciousness that's experiencing everything stays the same from moment to moment. And also with 414, you should know that the moment is really a continuous flow of moments. So you have to meditate on the present moment and a continuous flow of moment to moment. It also says it's the same moment over and over again, but due to a limitless amount of combinations, we think it's not. 415. An object has the same identity in all circumstances. However, due to differences of mentality in various minds, each individual mind may view the same object differently. 416. An object exists independent of its cognizance by any individual consciousness. What happens to an object when your consciousness is not there to perceive it? So they're saying whatever is in your consciousness, that is what your experience is. You are the contents of your consciousness. Because when we're holding on to the past, something that's already done is in our consciousness. And then when we're worrying about the future, over worrying, I should say, the future's in our consciousness. So it's either done or it hasn't happened yet. 417. A thing is known or unknown by the mind, depending on whether it is noticed by it. 418. The underlying consciousness that is ever present throughout the omniverse always knows the moods and state that the omniverse is in. It is ultimately the master of the mind. 419. The mind is not self-illuminating because it has to be viewed in the light of the soul. 419 is really important. You can't actually view things in the mind. In the physical brain itself, you don't view it. It has to be viewed in the light of the soul. Let me give the other two translations for 419, guys. The mind is an object of perception and therefore is not self-illuminating. The third translation. The mind is not self-illuminating because it is the object of knowledge and perception for pure consciousness. 420. The mind cannot perceive the soul and objects at the same time. The mind cannot perceive subject and object at the same time. So the fifth limb is pratyahara. Pratyahara is drawing the senses inwards towards the soul. 421. Since multiple minds are able to understand each other, there must be an underlying consciousness that flows throughout the universe. Otherwise, there would be too much confusion because each person's reality would not be contingent on the facts of the reality of others. 422. Consciousness becomes aware of itself when it identifies its source, which is the soul, and then becomes one with it. The unchangeable essence of being, which is called Purusha in Sanskrit, can only perceive itself through reflection in a changeable, interminable space. 423. When consciousness resides in the soul, it fully understands whatever it perceives. 424. Though having countless desires and mental impressions, the mind exists for the sake of the soul because it can only act in association with it. 424. Once you know the distinction between the mind and the soul, questions about the nature of the soul come to an end. 426. Then consciousness is drawn magnetically towards the soul due to the gravitational force of its illuminated wisdom. 427. If you are careless, thoughts and conceptualizations may separate the mind and the soul. 428. You should handle these thoughts, conceptualizations, and memories by being mindful, replacing all negative thoughts and non-virtuous intent with their opposing opposites, and eliminating self-centeredness. 429. When you lose desire to possess even the highest rewards, then remain in this constant enlightened state of consciousness, Dharma Mega Samadhi occurs. So apparently this is the highest state. Dharma Mega Samadhi is described as the conscious cloud of virtue, justice, law, morality, religious merit, and steadfast decree. So in the previous sutras, it describes that when you get into the higher levels of samadhi and purity and self-realization, that there is a physical, mental, and emotional change that takes place, as well as an energetic change that takes place. So there's literally physical changes that occur when you get into these higher states, but also energetically. And that's why the text and the art form itself goes from the physical all the way to the soul. 430. Then afflictions and karma are ended. 431. Then the shrouds of impurities are removed, and the highest pure infinite wisdom is attained. After this, there is little left to be known. 432. Then the sequence of successive mutations ceases to function. 433. The sequence of movements take place moment to moment, but is perceived only at the end of transformations. So we only perceive the change at the end of the transformations. 434. When experience has liberated the soul, the gunas absorb into nature, and the power of the soul reabsorbs back into itself. Then perfect independence is realized. So the gunas are the three driving forces of the universe. There's rajas, tamas, and sattvas. And they're what make the universe change and end. Raja is the beginning, is the driving force. Sattva is the maintenance, and then tamas is the ending. These three forces absorb back into nature, and the soul absorbs back into itself. That's it. The fourth part is short. Thanks for joining me, guys. We will be having the Dhammapada study at 8. You guys are welcome to come and study. Any questions, please let me know. Be well.